what does holiness mean? This is the key verse in the book of Leviticus. You may be vaguely familiar with this verse. Okay? Be holy, because I, the Lord, notice how this is spelled, capital L, capital O, capital R, capital D. What's the Hebrew term behind this? This is Jehovah or Yahweh. See how it's all capitalized? So this is the term for God. Because I am the Lord your God. I am Yahweh. I am Yahweh. I am Jehovah your God. God would be what? The Hebrew word Elohim or El or Elohim. So this will be God will be El or Elohim. This will be Yahweh. God's most precious name. He says, because I, the Lord your God, am holy. So you are to be holy because God is holy. We are to reflect his holiness. Now, 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 15 in the New Testament echoes the same thing. So in other words, this isn't just an Old Testament concept. 1 Peter says the same thing, be holy. So we as Christians are to be holy because the Lord our God is holy. So Peter, same type of thing. Now, what does it mean to be holy? The root idea of holiness, I like this phrase here, totally other. What holiness or kadosh means is that God is totally other, that God is totally different than anything you've ever experienced. God is different. He's totally other. He's totally different than anything you've ever experienced in your life. By the way, what does that tell us? When we meet God, when we actually meet God, are we all going to be shocked? When we meet God, are we all going to meet the totally other? There's nothing in this world that's like God. He's totally different. All our imaginations, all our wonderings and stuff like that, God is different than anything we can imagine. And when we meet God, it's basically, he's totally other. The idea of holiness means this idea of separateness. He's different. He's separate. He's separate from the rest of creation. There's nothing like him. He's separate. He's distinct from creation. God is totally unique. He's totally unique. There's only sui generis. He's only one of a kind. There's only one like him in the whole universe. He's special. That may be another way to say holiness, is say he's special. Holiness is making something special, something separate, distinct, unique, something that's special. Isaiah says it this way. By the way, the book of Isaiah also has a lot on the book concept of holiness. Isaiah says this, to whom will you compare me? Now, first of all, what kind of question is that? Is he expecting an answer to that question? To whom will you compare me? What's the answer? Is he asking a cognitive answer? Is that a rhetorical question? Does a rhetorical question expect an answer? No. Okay. And so what he's doing is here, he's making a rhetorical question is a statement in the dress of a question. A rhetorical question is a statement in the dress of a question. What he's trying to say here, what is he trying to say by this? To whom will you compare me? What is he trying to say? What's the statement that he's making there? There is no one like God. Micaiah. There is no one who is like God. Micaiah. There is no one like God. So the statement here, to whom will you compare me, is there is nothing you can compare. There is no one you can compare God to. Or who is my equal? God has no equal. Says the Holy One. Says the Holy One. The incomparability, Old Testament scholars call this the incomparability of Yahweh. Okay, the incomparability of Yahweh, he is totally different than anything. There's nothing we can compare him to. It's totally different, yeah.
In C.S. Lewis, Four Loves, does he say somewhere on the end that we'll find those traits that we miss so much in our loved ones in God?
Yeah. Okay. You need to keep some ideas. Now, I thought you were going to come the other way. Some people say, well, we can know something about God because we're made in God's image, so therefore we know something about God. Okay, well, we got to put that aside and say, yes, God is love. Do we know how to love? Yes, we know how to love. Okay, do we know compassion? Yes, okay. Do we know justice, righteousness, those types of things? We have ideas of those things. But what this is saying is go beyond that. In other words, those categories are, how should I say, those things don't describe God who is beyond all those things. And so the holiness thing is about the beyondness of it. And it's not saying there's totally no connections. In other words, when you read a statement like this, he's not saying, because we're made in his image. So there are things that we are similar to God. And I think that's what Lewis is referring to there. But there's another sense in which, while we're similar to God in some ways, there's other ways. He's beyond anything we've ever experienced in life. And so the holiness points out that beyondness, okay? And so the holiness focuses on that beyondness, that otherness. That would be another way to say it, the otherness of it. So beautiful verse there in Isaiah. Here's another one from Isaiah about this idea of separateness. God is separate. He's distinct from everything. Separateness. But does separateness mean remoteness? Does separateness mean remoteness? Check this verse out from Isaiah 57:15. This is a beautiful verse. It says, "For this is what the high and lofty one says." So God calls himself, this is what the high and lofty one says. He's high, he's lofty, he's out there kind of thing. This is what the high and lofty one says. He who lives forever. In other words, this, eternity, both directions. He lives forever. Whose name is what? Holy. Okay, and that's the focus here. Whose name is holy. He's totally different. He lives forever. He's high and lofty one. He lives forever. His name is holy. He says, I live in the high and holy place. The holy place is where God lives. He lives. He himself is holy. His name is holy. And he lives in a special place. A place set apart, separate, special, unique. He says, I live in this holy place. And so you get this image of this guy, high, lifted up, holy and stuff. And then the verse turns with this but here. It's beautiful. He says, okay, this high and holy God, who does he live with? Who does God live with? But also with him who is contrite and lowly in spirit. What's contrite mean? It means the broken ones. Who does God live with? The high and lofty God, the Holy One who's separate, lives in this special holy place. He lives with the broken ones. Do you see the turn, how that turns? You get this holy God, rather than living with all these really, holy, he lives with people that are broken, the contrite, the lowly in spirit. Now, by the way, what does our culture tell us? Do you have to promote yourself? You got to be confident in yourself. You got to promote yourself. You got to brand yourself. You got to, yourself kind of thing. With whom does God live? With the lowly in spirit? With the humble? With the broken ones. This is beautiful to see, So God's holiness, does it mean that he's remote? The answer is no. No, God lives with the broken ones. And this, I love the way this verse just shifts from this high and lofty one to those that are lowly, as to whom he lives. This is a beautiful verse.